Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm not going to sew any zippers in, however we could do that too. Zippers are not that scary if you haven't tried that. I'm going to do a slip cover on this pillow. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you've got your tape measure, coordinating thread, some sharp scissors, and a rotary cutter, some pens. So let's get started. Okay, so here is the fabric that I have chosen that I'm going to go ahead and use for my pillow. Make this the front, and then I will do my solid color in the back. And I think maybe later on what I will do is go ahead and do a little bit of embellishment on this pillow. So this pillow, I actually picked this up at Goodwill. It's a feather down pillow. This pillow is 22 by 22. It's a nice size pillow. My front piece is going to be 22, and then I'm going to do 2 pieces for the back. Now these are going to overlap, right? So you're going to want to add some seam allowance to that because you're going to have your fold. So for my back, right, we have our 2 pieces and they're going to flap over just like this. And you want to make sure that you're giving enough seam allowance to have a finished look to them. So I'm going to find my center here. I'm just going to put this on the seam line here. And I'm going to say that right there is my center. So that's 12 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it 3 extra inches. So, all right, so I am grabbing a ruler so that I can actually mark this. And then I have my marking pen, a heat erasable marker. I have marked at my 22, so now I'm going to go to my 16 here, 22, and then I want 16, which is going to put me there. Now this one here that I'm marking, this is my back panel. And we are going to make 2 pieces. So I'm making one at 22 by 16 and the other one 22 by 15. And lining that up. There we go. Now you can use your scissors or your rotary cutter, whichever you feel is fastest for you. I'm just going to go ahead and use my rotary cutter. So this is a project that actually comes together really quick. Again, this is a slip cover for your pillow. This does not have a zipper going into it. And there's one of my back panels. And I'll go ahead and cut the other one out. Okay, so I have my other back panel cut out. So I have 22 by 15 on this one and 22 by 16. So slip cover, how this is going to go. So they double up on each other. So we want this to actually get to 22, right? So this is going to have a nice finished look to it. So right now I'm just over 24 inches on that. So what we're doing is we're actually taking these back panels here, and I gave it an extra 2.5 inches right around in there. So we are going to fold this over like this. So I'm going to go ahead and pin that like this. So always remember too, this will save you some frustration. So when you are sewing, make sure your pins are going the right direction. So see, I'm going to correct myself here, and I'm going to make sure that my pins are facing in the direction where I can actually pull them out. So I'm going to go ahead and finish pinning this. So I've given myself plenty of seam allowance here. So I'm going to flip this over again because I want a really nice finish look. So I'm going to go ahead and finish pinning that. And then we'll pin the other side, and we'll measure and make sure that we come up to our 22 inches with a 1/2 inch for seam allowance for when we're sewing. So I have given us plenty of room with those measurements for just over 23 inches. So we're right at 23.5. So that's going to give us 2 inches in seam allowance. So you can make it bigger if you want. That's fine. You can just put maybe a 1/2 inch sewing seam allowance in there. I'm going to go ahead and probably bring this over more, and then that will just give me a bigger flap for when I'm opening up. So we have plenty of room there and not having to worry. And again, we want that at 22. That puts me at 23, and that gives me a very nice flap over, and I don't have to worry about not having enough room to get my pillow inside there. So now I'm going to grab my fabric here from my front panel, and we want that at 22 by 22. So I'm going to actually give myself a 1/2 inch of seam allowance with this one. So I'm going to do 22.5. So we will measure that out, 22.5. And I'm going to mark that. And then we're going to go this way, come past the selvage. Okay, so I have my coordinating color to my fabric that I wanted. Now I know this is pink and it's gonna maybe show up on this side, but being that we're gonna put the right sides together and flip it inside out, it should be fine. So make sure that you do that. Okay, so I'm going to start sewing down right here on this side, and then we'll make our way over there. Just have my foot here at the edge of this where it's folded, so I'm using that as my seam guide. Got my straight stitch, and you can lengthen your stitches if you want. You can put a fancy stitch on here if your machine does that. You do it however you want here. And back, locking the stitches in. And then just go ahead and start sewing on the other side. Now doing this here, this is going to give you a really nice finish look to it. And again, what I'm doing here is I'm just using my presser foot here as a guide. I just have it on the outside here of it. So I guess you want to be pretty precise with your fold. If you're not precise, you'll notice it, but you know what? Don't worry about it. Nobody's going to be looking at your fold here on your pillow. They're just going to be noticing a really pretty slip cover on your pillow. And then you're going to grab your other piece and do the same thing. This is what we have here. We have this nice little fold here looking like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put these two pieces together. So I would say you have a couple choices here on this once you have these sewn down. So you have this nice finish stitch here. You can actually sew it where this is on the outside, or you can sew it where it looks like this, a nice clean finish. I'm going to actually go for having mine, this part sticking out, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so now you're going to want to grab your ruler once you've decided which way you're going to have those facing. So if you want this part facing outward, you're going to put these two facing inward at each other. So don't forget, we got to bring these two pieces to match up like this. We're just going to have one fold right over the other, but we got to make sure that we get to that 22 inches, right? Because we want that nice and snug. So we're going to measure those and get them facing the right direction. I'm going to clip here, and I'm going to do a guesstimation right here where I have this folding over about 3 inches, and we'll see if I'm right, because we want our measurements to be very precise on that. We don't want to be off. It will be very frustrating for us. So I put one clip down at the end, and I'm going to put one clip down at this end, and I got it lapping over about 3 inches is my guess. And then we'll measure that and see what we've got. I'm going to actually bring this in a little bit more because I want that to stay pretty snug just till we get to, I want to get to that 22 inches. I want mine nice and snug. Going to the, all right, so now I'm at 23, so that gives me a half an inch of seam allowance. So I think we're good right there. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that there, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to do a quick little stitch right here just to hold these together, and I'm going to do one at the top and one at the bottom on both ends. You can sew all the way across if you prefer. I'm just going to do a top stitch here going across, getting to the closest to the edge as I can, because we're just sewing it to keep it together in its place. We don't want it moving around on us. Okay, and that one is done. So I would say if you're going to embellish this a little bit on the back, like if you want to add a bow or something to that, now would be the time if you want to do that. And this is what we have. So it's staying together now that we have that sewed in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our front panel, and if we want to embellish that, we can. But other than that, we are going to sew this together. So I have found some pretty ribbon, and I'm gonna go ahead and embellish this a little bit. And this one extra step is gonna make it look all even more the prettier, kind of give it the shabby chic look. So what I'm gonna do, because this actually has wire in it, if you're using some wire in your ribbon, do be careful. Try not to hit your needle on that, it will dull it out. So I am going to go ahead and sew this all the way around. And so when you get to the corner and you're using that wire, this is gonna actually help you a little bit because the wire is gonna keep it in place. Go to your corner and just slightly kind of bend it back a little bit. It's kind of like a mitered corner. Keeping that in place, folding it down, and I would say go ahead and make sure that you pin it, and that way it's actually going to stay in place. Okay, so when you come to making your mitered corner, it can be a little tricky. So go ahead and sew all the way down to the end, and then make sure you back stitch, locking that into place. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fold this over, holding that down. It can be a little tricky. Pulling it over, and then folding this up just a little bit, and then I would say probably put a pin in there. I know I'm going to actually put a pin in there. It's going to help me. So you're just going to kind of fold that up, finagle it a little bit, push that corner up like so, and then you're just kind of bringing it back down like that. And then you have your mitered corner. And then just sew it in place. And then we'll just sew that corner down. Now when you get to the next, you'll do the same thing. Moving the needle down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist this now because I want this to stay in place. And you're not going to see this. This is going to be underneath, so you won't see it. So you want to sew directly across and then back. I want this to stay in place. So again, there could be a lot of different ways of doing this. A lot of different people do it different. It's kind of how I taught myself, and it's always worked out pretty good. Forward and back, locking it in place, and then cut. And then making sure you go back to the same place and then continue to sew down the rest of your trimming. Now I'm going to put a few little pins in here because my fabric is trying to fold back out on me. Wanting to stay, and this way, if I do the preparation now, I won't have to be finagling it when I get to the end. And again, if your fabric has creases in it, you may want to go ahead and iron it down so you get your exact fit and cut. Okay, that should be good. And I'm going to come back up here to the corner, and I'm going to start and forward and back, and continue to sew down. And remove my pins. I don't want them getting caught. Don't worry too much if your miter corner is not perfect. In fact, you could just make it square. If you don't want to try to get that fold in the center, you can just fold it over and make it a square corner. And it looks just as nice. I've done quite a few like that myself, and I think they look very pretty. Even though I didn't have enough, I would say if you want to have enough, make sure you go and buy some if you don't have enough. So I'm using this little extra piece that I had, and it's just enough to go to the bottom. It's like I said, it's not going to be mitered, and that's okay, but my two topped miters will be the very top of my pillow. So let's go ahead and finish this up. Now once you get that all the way around, you're going to want to make sure that you're tacking the other side down. So go ahead and do your sew around on that ribbon there if it's a thicker one that you're using. So I'm going to go ahead and get that sewed down, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I have the rest of that all sewn around there. I'm just going to show you guys a quick peek real quick. It looks super pretty. Kind of a last minute thing that I did. Don't know if you guys like it or not, but I kind of do. I like it. I think it looks pretty. And then once I get maybe a heart in the center of it, I don't know, it could look really, really pretty. But I think for now, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like that, and I will get this back of it sewn on there. So let's go ahead and do that. Back on, and I have chosen to actually make it so that this is my outside, and you can choose whichever way you want it to go. So I kind of like this right here. If you want a much cleaner look, I would maybe go this way if you want. I don't know, I think this side looks a little bit more professional. So if you're going to go with that, what you're going to do is put that one facing the inside like this, and then we're going to sew these pieces all the way around. Now we don't have to leave a gap in there because we have this, so we'll be able to turn it inside out that way. So we are going to go ahead and pin it, and that way it's going to be staying in place for us. Alright, so now that we have this clipped, let's go ahead and sew it around. So if you remember right, we gave enough of seam allowance to do an inch or a half an inch. So you can go whichever way you want to go. So I'm going to actually use my presser foot as my guide a little bit, and I'm going to make sure that this side is actually facing up so I can sew it down, because this is actually sticking out a little bit and I want to catch it. So I think I'm going to go a full inch on here, making sure that I grab that ribbon that I sewed down on there. So let's go ahead and sew this up. When I come to my corner here, I'm going to come up, sew a little bit, and then I'm going to stop and turn, sew sideways 2 stitches, and then I'm going to pivot again. This is going to give your corner a really nice clean corner. And then just continue around. We are almost at the end. You can turn it inside out. I would say if you made a lot of these, you would get a rhythm down as to how you did it, and they would come together really quick. So you can easily make a bunch of these and sell them. I actually do on my Etsy store. I don't have any new ones on there right now at this time, but okay, so we're all done sewing that up. This is what we got. This is what it's looking like here. Just like this. Now I think just adding some little bit of ribbon around there kind of added to it. And I just grabbed stuff that I already had. I didn't go and purchase any extra. If you have stuff, you can put it on there if you want. If you don't, you don't have to. You can embellish it any way you want. I would love to see yours when you guys make yours. Please share some pictures. That would be great. You can find me actually on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me at Lesa's Storefront. That's actually where I post a lot of my things that I sell. You can find me on Sew Cray Cray on Facebook. And then also Lesa Swanner Sews. That's where I would say maybe post some of your pictures. Swing by there, take a look. I would love to see you guys on there and your pictures if you make these. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of turning this right side out. I'm gonna find those little mitered corners that I made, and I'm using that for my top, just because I didn't have enough of that ribbon to go around and to actually bring it together and make the mitered corner. So that's okay, because I just grabbed stuff like I said and made it work. So this is what it's looking like with the ribbon. A little different, not sure what you guys think. And this is the back. And I chose to go with having that where it was a little bit more uniform, I guess you would say. It looks a little bit more professionally finished to me. It has a nice little tuck to it versus than if I would have left it out, you know, this way. It doesn't have that a little nice little tuck on the side, which I really like that. So so yeah, let's put this pillow in here. I have this pillow right here. You guys can actually make some embellishments to put on your pillowcase. You can make it all one color, so you can make a lot of these. I love slip covers. They don't cost a lot to make at all, and you can make so many of them, and they would be great for like Christmas presents for your daughter-in-laws, daughters, nieces, mother-in-laws, your moms, your sisters, your aunts. I can go on and on and on. I think there's a lot of women that actually like these, like if they're really into the whole, you know, decorating for the summer, spring kind of thing. You can make a lot of different fun ones. Make some Christmas ones, some Halloween and spring. So there it is. That looks pretty cute. Not bad for adding the embellishment at the last minute. I've got some little straggler strings. I'll go along and I'll clean that up. Here is what the back of that looks like. Looks pretty good. So I think I like that. I think that looks really, really good. And it's easy to open up and take out because we made it extra big. Now again, you can make it any size that you want. So, but I think I might just go ahead and add a cute little bow to the front of that. And I'm gonna set it in here in my little she shed here and give it some shabby chic look that I've been wanting to it. So there it is, guys. So find me on Facebook, Lesa Swanner Sews, and post some pictures on there. And don't forget to like. When you like it, you actually goes into a like list, and you can go back to your like list and you can find it, and it'll come up right there for you, easy to find. And then if you think you have some friends that might want to subscribe, feel free to share. I'm excited to see yours, so make sure you guys find me on Facebook or Instagram. I am on there, easy to find. So thanks for stopping by, and thanks Jan for keeping me going on the sewing. So there we go. You guys have a good day.